Greetings from Africa, amani na wema, peace and goodness, pace bene, pax et bonum. They watched him closely. Luke chapter 14, verse 1. Just as the Pharisees watched Jesus closely to see what he does with the Sabbath day, the next generation have intently put their eyes on us to see if we really care about the loss of biodiversity, leading to extinction of species, which scientists report to be at its peak in this century, and how we are responding to the dangers of this loss. Are we consciously keeping the ecosystem under constant observation so as to curb the biodiversity loss? The first goal of the recently concluded fourth open-ended working group on post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework meeting in Nairobi aims at protecting biodiversity at all levels and preventing extinctions. However, the delegates in this meeting were still divided if by 2050 we should halt the extinction of species completely or just reduce biodiversity loss by half. Pope Francis in Laudato Si reminds us of the grave effects of human-driven harm to biodiversity, and we quote, "Because of us, thousands of species will no longer give glory to God by their very existence, nor convey their message to us." Laudato Si, number 33. This leads us to our second reflection question. In what way are you responsible for the biodiversity loss? The Gospel reading talks of how we regard the poor in society by failing to invite them to functions because they have nothing to offer in return. Luke chapter 14, verse 12. This can be compared to how we treat the biodiversity, which is considered at most a deposit of economic resources available for exploitation, with no serious thought for the real value of the things, their significance for persons and cultures, or the concerns and needs of the poor. Laudato Si, number 190. The poor, the indigenous communities, and the vulnerable bear the greatest brunt of the biodiversity loss. For a while now, the work of bringing Laudato Si to life has met hurdles in Africa and many parts of the world, mostly due to lack of knowledge about this purple document. The cry for nature has at last reached the ears of the Catholic bishops in Eastern Africa. The Association of Members of Episcopal Conferences in East Africa, AMESEA, during its 20th plenary between 11th and 17th of July 2022, has chosen Laudato Si as the theme of this meeting, aiming to remind humanity towards the care for creation. To care for creation requires one to be humble, a virtue that the Gospel text refers to when it speaks about how we ought to choose our places of sitting when invited for functions. Many in the universe have forgotten that the commandment towards stewardship was meant for humanity to be humble and faithful caretakers of God's creation. Rather, have used this as a right to plunder nature, leading to loss of biodiversity. May we live always to remember the words of Greta Thunberg during the UN's Climate Action Summit in New York City, and she says, "My message is that we will be watching you." May God bless you. Father Stephen Makagutu, OFM Capuchin.